Welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm going to get started in a minute. I just need to let everybody know that the stream is currently on the air. Okay, I've let everybody know that the stream is currently on the air. And now that everybody knows that the stream is currently on the air, I'm going to get into some perfunctory before I get into tonight's show. Now, before I get into tonight's topic, I wanted everyone to know that my new book, ISIS Runway of Doom, has officially dropped on Amazon.com. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, you will be able to pick yourself up a copy of ISIS Runway of Doom on Amazon.com. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, you will be able to pick up ISIS Runway of Doom and be able to read it for free. Now, ISIS Runway of Doom is a follow up to the 2018 book, ISIS All That Glitters, which introduced the character of Goldenshine. And in this story, the goddess next door struts her stealth on the catwalk to take on a runway of rogues that are led by Goldenshine in this all-new action-packed ISIS series adventure in the world of fashion. And the reason why I set this one in the world of fashion is because I wanted little Black girls and Black women to know about the history and contributions of Black women in the world of fashion, in things and events like Ebony Fashion Fair, which back in the day used to be the only place where Black women could express themselves and talk about Black beauty and Black excellence. And so many Black girls and Black women don't know about that institution of Ebony Fashion Fair and its impact on the standard of beauty that Black women established for themselves back in the day. And I wanted to remind this generation that we had our own standards for femininity and beauty in this ISIS series story, where ISIS enters the world of fashion and modeling for a Black lingerie catalog. So this is a story I wrote because I wanted Black women to understand about the history of Black fashion and the history of Black beauty. So this was a story that really meant a lot to me, and it builds up on previous points that are made in other ISIS stories. Like I mentioned, there's ISIS, the beauty myth, where I talk about Isis dealing with her own struggles as related to beauty, and it follows up Isis Wrath, the cyber goddess, another story that deals with Black beauty, and Isis All That Glitters that introduces Goldenshine. All of these stories tie into ISIS Runway of Doom, and you can read this all on its own because it's a standalone story, but the other stories will give you some backstory on all of the characters and give you a better sense of how the story fits into the overall ISIS series. And this one is available right now in paperback, and you can get your copy right now. And again, if you have Kindle Unlimited, you'll be able to get this book on Amazon.com, and you'll be able to read it for free. Again, I have everything exclusive to Kindle Unlimited right now because many of the SJS Direct books basically have been having a hard time on other platforms. So right now it's on Kindle Unlimited for free for the digital format, and you can also pick up yourself a cool paperback copy with a fantastic cover from Bill Walko. Now, this is the second book in the SJS Direct 2026 catalog, and the first book that has already come out with a beautiful cover from Des Taylor is John Haynes, An Offer He Can't Refuse. And this book basically wraps up the first storyline of the John Haynes series and is the story where the man who rules the world gets an offer he can't refuse, and also goes out here and wraps up the first plot point of the first overall overreaching arc of the John Haynes series. So you definitely want to pick this one up if you've been buying John Haynes books on the regular, and if you want, and you also want to pick this one up because it's got a really great story and is a lot of fun as related to the John Haynes series. So John Haynes, An Offer He Can't Refuse, came out in March, and I'm following it up again with Isis Runway of Doom. Both of these books are now on Amazon.com and Kindle Unlimited. And again, you can read both of them on Kindle Unlimited for free. And the third book that's going to be coming out on May 15th, which has no pre-orders right now, is Esteem a New Woman. And this story basically takes place about 3 days after the incidents of the temptation of John Haynes. And in this story, Esteem starts to establish her relationship with Christ and starts her whole mission as related to being a heroine. So this was one that basically is a flashback story, but it's a compelling story that basically shows and establishes the Esteem character, and it's one you definitely don't want to miss. So this one's getting ready to come out on May 15th, and you can pick up your copy right now and pre-order on digital format, or you can wait for the paperback to come out later on Amazon.com. Now, I have my comic John Haynes at Death's Door at lulu.com in paperback, and I also have it in digital format on Amazon's Kindle, so you can pick up John Haynes at Death's Door on Amazon.com. And again, this is my first comic that I did, first full comic, and I would love to do more, but I can't do that without donations. So if you guys could hook me up, that would be greatly appreciated. I would love to do another comic and be able to reach more readers with great stories about the Black experience. Now, Isis Runway of Doom, this book basically ties into tonight's topic that Mr. Chris and I will be talking about in depth once he does come on the air. And we will be talking about, the standard as related to Black beauty, and we'll be talking about that in a minute. But I want all of my viewers who used to go out here and follow me on X to understand that, the reason why you're not getting any links is because I no longer have an account on the website known as X, formerly known as Twitter. And since I no longer have an account on the site known as X, formerly known as Twitter, I can't really send you guys any sort of links or any sort of contacts to any of the videos. If you're on X, I'm no longer there on that platform, no longer available on that platform. So I can't really send you any sort of stuff as related to links or any sort of data as related to any sort of anything. So I basically, again, if you were following me on X, basically you're out of luck, but you can head over to other sites such as Blue Sky, such as Facebook, such as Instagram, and such as Threads. I'm on all of those other platforms, and I'm even on TikTok. I always drop some ads up on TikTok like I did recently for Isis Runway of Doom. So if you want to find me, and you were following me on X, you can find me on other platforms. But what sadly happened, like I said in a video before, my whole site, somebody hacked my site, changed the email, and made it where I could not access my X. And eventually they wound up deleting that whole X account. So I'm no longer on X anymore. I've been X'd out of X. And I've just decided to move on from that platform because it's basically turned into a cesspool. And now I'm looking to focus on moving forward because now basically I've seen from the recent YouTube views that I got really no views over there and got no really people clicking on the links over there. So I'm looking to work with the platforms where I'm getting the clicks and views. And since I'm getting most of the clicks and views from other platforms, I'm going to focus on those platforms from here on in. Now I'm waiting for Mr. Chris to come in because I really want to give him his time. However, the topic he wanted me to talk about as related to how these white supremacists basically have a hate on black love was something I was looking forward to talking about because when you look at this whole society, they really have a serious issue when it comes down to black men and black women being together. When it comes down to black men and black women being together, the whole society basically looks to make efforts to try to always make sure that they never show a black man and a black woman together. And that's really been shown in most of this mainstream media. In most of this mainstream media, basically, they've been pushing this narrative of interracial couples. Whenever you see some products on television, they always try to make it where that whenever you see a black woman, she's always with a white man, and in some cases has mixed children, or in some cases, they go out here and they show you a black man with a white woman, but they'll never go out here and show that black man and that black woman together. That's something they never really push on mainstream media. Now, in that same mainstream media, they will always go out of their way to show you a white man and a white woman, and they know they can't show you no Hispanic man or without a Hispanic woman. And definitely when it comes down to the Asian man, they always show the Asian man with the Asian woman because markets like Latin America and China won't put up with that mess. And they know definitely they can't pull that kind of game on the Islamic community. No, they know if you cannot show no interracial images inside of the Islamic community because they would throw a hissy fit if anybody were to go out here and show an interracial relationship, but they go out here and they actively look to go out here and not show a black man and a black woman because they don't want anybody to see a black man and a black woman come together as a couple because they know that if a black man and a black woman come together, it basically runs counter to the white supremacist narratives that they put in their media. Now, when it comes down to the white supremacist media, they go out of their way to go out here and put a large amount of anti-black images as related to our image on their media. When it comes down to our image, they've been putting all of these anti-black images in their media ever since they were able to start their media in the days of the antebellum South. Ever since they were able to make images of black people, they've always tried to make negative images regarding black people. They've always gone out here and put up images that basically were designed to make it where black people appeared to be unattractive in comparison to white people. And they always tried to make the whole relationship between the black man and the black woman look extremely dysfunctional in most of their media. This is something that they basically started ever since they started images like the Black Brute, like the Minstrel, and like the Sapphire and the Mammy and the Jezebel. All of this was basically done to get us to go out here and buy into an image of ourself that's not true. And as they got us to buy into these images and these narratives about ourselves that are not true, what happened with Black people is that a lot of us bought into this programming. And as we bought into this programming, we started to believe that Black people couldn't come together. And sadly, over the last 60 years, this whole situation has gotten further exacerbated by many of our Black women who basically, as we came out of the civil rights movement and we got integrated into society, these women, in their efforts to become more socially accepted, what they did was buy into the narrative they could be like that white woman as related to the feminist movement. And as they went out here and bought into that narrative that they could be like that white woman, they didn't know that they were actually being indoctrinated into white supremacy. And as they were being indoctrinated into white supremacy, many of our sisters basically started to work against themselves. And as they started to work against themselves, this created the adversarial environment that basically has evolved into the gender wars, which basically were instigated by agents like Oprah Winfrey, who had a deep-seated hatred of Black men. And because women like her had a deep-seated hatred of Black men, they went out here and started putting up misandristic messages in shows like the Oprah Winfrey Show, and women like Alice Walker began putting those misandristic messages in books like The Color Purple, and also miseducated Black women with books like Zora Neale Hurston's Their Eyes Were Watching God. They went out here and waged a campaign against the Black man, these female Black bootlicks, and basically programmed the minds of entire generations of Black women to basically turn against the Black man. And as they were basically programmed to buy into these messages, what happened with many of these Black women is, instead of loving the Black man, what they learned how to do is hate the Black man and buy into the white supremacist narratives that told them that the Black man was not a good man, told them that the Black man was not a capable provider, told them that the Black man was not a capable leader, told them that the Black man could not go out here and take care of his home, could not take care of his business, could not handle anything as related to running a household, and push this narrative that the Black man was this sort of deadbeat who never took care of his family, when that was nothing but a lie basically created by the white supremacists who wanted to go out here and demonize the Black man to make the Black woman codependent on his welfare state. And while he made the Black woman codependent on his welfare state so that he could go out here and profit from the Black woman and basically send his kids to private schools on the Black woman's dollar and go out here and build his whole luxurious lifestyle at the expense of the Black woman. Basically, what they were doing was telling a lie, because when you look at the real history of America, the real deadbeat that's out here was the white man, because during times like the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression, the guy who was running out on his family was the white man. The white man was the original deadbeat, but you wouldn't know it from all of the propaganda that has been presented in the mainstream media. Because with all the propaganda that was presented in the mainstream media, what's been presented is the whole idea that the Black man is not a good provider and a good leader of his family. Meanwhile, this white man has been falsely presented as this ultimate ideal in media of being this responsible and capable man. But the truth is that when it comes to that white man, he basically is looking to project his insecurities and his inadequacies on the Black man. What he wants to do is project his insecurities and inadequacies on the black man and say, oh, this whole thing is the black man being irresponsible, but this white man has been irresponsible ever since this country has been incepted, and his deadbeat whole behavior has been chronicled for many years during the Great Depression. Again, many of these white guys would go out for a pack of cigarettes, and then they would you would never see, many of these white women would never see them again, but they would always keep up the appearance because they have a great obsession with keeping black people at the bottom. The whole thing is that that white woman will go out here and look to keep up that appearance, as related to the keeping the black man at the bottom, even though their man was the original deadbeat. Their man was the one who was the original one out here, again, looking to walk away from many women. Their man was the original whoremonger who was out here going out during slavery. Again, he would have his wife be talking about how he's this good Christian who believed in the gospel, but he was out here committing adultery with his own slaves, and even worse, showing no love of God, because as he had his biracial daughters and even his biracial sons, he would be out here abusing and traumatizing his children by participating in acts of deviancy with his own daughters and his own sons, showing the hypocrisy of this white man who basically, again, has an issue with black on black love, and has an issue with black on black love because black on black love basically shows how our love endures and how our love basically is true. And like Professor Black Truth has said, it's an example of our integrity. It's an example of our integrity as related to our character, because black love basically endured all throughout the days of slavery, endured after the emancipation and during the time of Reconstruction. And there was a time in this country where you had more black people married than you had any other group in the world. When it came down to black people, again, were basically leading as related to marriage, and many strong black families basically were in this country from the time of the emancipation all the way up until about the 1960s, when, again, we had the integration. And as we had the integration, again, they went to the weaker vessel, which is the black woman. And as we went to the black woman, and as related to integration, that's where they found the weaker vessel to push their anti-black narratives through white feminism, which told the lie to black women that they were the ones who were being oppressed by a black man, when it was the black man who showed the black woman love during times where we had laws like the Black Codes in place, which said that black women had to work. So that white woman would sit there and say, oh, he's oppressing you, when it was the white man creating the policies of the Black Codes that made black women work, even though the woman was supposed to be in the house. The woman was supposed to be in the house, but due to Jim Crow laws, the black woman had to work. And on top of it, many black women had to work because when it came down to the black man's employment, the black man's employment basically was extremely unstable. Like I've said before in many videos, all it took was one of these white guys not being able to get his everything bagel or his dark roast coffee and a black man could wind up losing his job, or some white guy could go out here and get himself drunk, lose his job, and they would look to go out here and give a black man's job to that white man so that he could go out here and be able to have something to keep him on his feet. That's the type of unstable situation that black couples had to endure. And that's what really built a strong base of love, because many black men and black women, they stayed together, and they stayed together because they knew they had each other. And the black woman knew that she had to lean on that black man because that was all that she had in this world. Again, they look to stand together under God as related to their integrity. They look to stand together under God as related to their integrity. And as they look to stand together under God, they basically, continue to push and continue to persevere, and they continue to go out here and fight for each other and stand up for each other. That's the power of black on black love that has been going on until about the time of the feminist movement. And after the feminist movement came along, sadly, that black on black love got shattered as black women participated in their hypergamy. And as they participated in their hypergamy, they looked to monkey branch over to white supremacy, who promised them more economic security with their welfare state, and also promised them economic security with the many of the jobs that they got through affirmative action, which were basically given to black women to emasculate the black man and get control over the black economy. This is the stuff that they wanted to do to get control over the black family. And that's how black love got turned into this whole series of hatred that we have as related to the gender wars that are currently going on right now, that have 70% of black women currently single, and I dare to say even 80% of black women single out here. We've got so many black women out here single, and what's sad is generation after generation, many of these women can't see how they're caught up in a paradigm of failure that is deliberately designed, and it's deliberately designed to keep black men from black women so that the white supremacists can go out here and profit from their gender war. Because like I stated in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, war is a business for the white supremacist. And since war is a business, they look to profit from dividing and conquering people. They look to go out here and profit from dividing and conquering people. And as they look to profit from dividing and conquering people, they look to get control over people. And in the black community, sadly, as they look to get that control over black people, sadly, many black women don't see how they're being used. They don't see how they are being used as related to these white supremacists. They can't see how they're being used as tools as related to this whole situation. That's the saddest part about many of these black women. They really can't see how they're being used, and they don't see how they're pawns in this chess game. They don't really see how they're being pawns in a chess game. And many black women, again, they don't really see it because they're so caught up in the world. And as they're caught up in the world, caught up in things, we'll get to that in a minute. But the whole thing is that they basically can't see how they basically are being used in a situation. And that's what Mr. Chris was talking about on one of his Saturday night shows. On one of his Saturday night shows, he basically went in depth talking a bit about how many of these black women like this are being used and how they're being used and how they're being taken advantage of. And it's one of those things that basically many black women don't really see, because recently, you've got many of these black women. I mean, he recently, again, posted up a video a while back and wanted to wait for him to play this. But when it comes down to, again, many of these black women, they just, again, don't see how they're basically pawns in a white supremacist chess game, can't see how they're basically pawns and being played. They're being played, and again, being played as suckers in this game. And that's the saddest part about this whole situation. They don't understand that, again, black men do love black women. Now, yeah, there are guys like me who will criticize situations like those divestment disasters. We'll criticize them and call it out, because those are examples of how the self-hatred of black women basically put them in tragic situations. But the whole thing is it shows how much black men still care, because if black men didn't care, they would go out here and be silent. We would go out here and be silent instead of talking about many of these dysfunctional people, like these agents and these people who have been brainwashed. And that's what Mr. Chris was presenting in this little clip that he presented to, and sent to me a while ago.
You know, back when I was still having sex with men who wore Adidas slides and dirty white socks, you know the ones. I wish I could tell me then that I'd be married to like a whole ass pediatrician sitting outside in our backyard by the fire he built me, drinking an old fashioned, waiting for him to come downstairs to join me because he's putting our kids to bed. Marry the nerd.
If you think that's disturbing, watch this.
I think marriage is legalized slavery.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Say more, because if I'm thinking about slavery and I'm thinking about marriage, there are two different images that come into my head.
Absolutely not.
Why is black love threatened? Why is it always under attack? It's always disrespected by the same bad actors that don't like black men. The divester swirler bedwenchers, the white supremacist Ku Klux crackheads, and the United States government itself. White supremacy feminism has caused the most damage only because it was funded by the CIA. The mere fact that the dirty socks with slides Pookie got the free booty calls, this is the same female that has the nerve to expect the nerd to have college degrees and a six-figure salary. But why do chicks that look like this and this have the most to say that no one truly cares about? It's because it's the ugliest chicks that has the most to say, only to say it because they still crave the most attention. I'm Mr. Chris. These stories and more on the Saturday night special edition of the CCRS.
Now, he made some good points, and the whole thing is that he was talking about the woman with the dirty slides guy. And again, they want to talk bad about black men, but then go out here and marry the nerd, because not because they love the nerd, but they go out here and get with the nerd because they basically have no options. Basically, these same women like this, again, they crave attention. And as they crave attention, they basically, again, can't see how they've been programmed by white supremacy, not to see the black man that loves them, but to see a black man as a tool. And as they see a black man as a tool, they basically look for someone to use. And again, that's that woman following the path of white supremacy, which does not want to see black men and black women come together, doesn't want to see black men and black women come together as a couple, because black men and black women coming together really counters white supremacy. And again, the thing that white supremacy fears the most is a black man and a black woman coming together and loving each other, because the white supremacists can't maintain any power whatsoever. No, the white supremacists can't maintain any power whatsoever whenever a black man and a black woman come together. No, there's nobody looking at that white man and seeing him as the dominant, and he can't foster a codependent relationship with the black man looking at the black woman, because as long as the black man and the black woman are loving each other, there's no way for the white man or the white supremacist to have any sort of power. And the white supremacist needs the black man and the black woman looking at him in order to foster his codependent relationship. In order for him to foster his codependent relationship, sadly, when it comes down to things, he needs to go out here and create dysfunction inside of the mind of both the black man and the black woman. And he does that through his media. Going out here, spreading his misinformation to the black man and the black woman. And sadly, what happens is that basically, he basically goes out here and goes on he goes out here and pushes his agenda again, because he needs you codependent on him. He doesn't want to see black men and black women loving each other. As long as we dislike each other, as long as we're hating each other, everything is fine. And everything is fine as long as we are codependent on each other. As long as we are codependent on him, everything is fine with him, because he gets his power and influence on us when we're sitting there. As long as we are sitting there codependent on him, everything is okay. But the minute we start, the minute we start to look at each other, that's when they know they don't have any power. Because if we're looking at each other and we're investing in ourselves, if we're going to black-owned businesses, if we're buying books like we show black men and black women coming together, like on this John Haynes and Offer We Can't Refuse, or we're seeing images of black beauty like this ISIS cover, basically there's no way for them to be able to maintain their control over us. And the thing is that, like Professor Black Truth has said in many of his videos, these white supremacists basically have a hair trigger. They're very insecure, and they get very, very scared whenever they see black people, again, not looking at them and seeing them as the center of attention. And when they see black on black love, that's when they really get terrified. They really get terrified when they see a picture of black on black love. That terrifies them, because they know they are no longer in power. They know that they no longer have control. They know that they have no sort of influence whatsoever. And that's something that the white supremacist really needs, as related to, in order for him to have his smooth world. Now, I know a lot of people possibly get tired of me talking about the smooth world, but when it comes down to many of these white beta males, again, they are, again, because of their insecurity, in order for them to feel adequate about themselves, they need to see black people at the bottom and hating each other. Because if they see a black man and a black woman loving each other, if they see a black man and a black woman loving each other, it becomes a problem for them. And it becomes a problem for them because, one, they know they can't sell us on, again, seeing them at the top. And two, if they can't sell us on seeing them at the top, they know they can't get us to become consumers. And they know if they can't get us to become consumers, they can't make their money on us, because their whole economic system is based on our codependency. It's based on us being codependent. And as it's being based on us being codependent, they basically don't like it when we go out here and can stand interdependently and not look to depend on them for their validation and their approval. They look for us to be out here looking to gain their validation and approval. And when it comes down to this, this is where a lot of black women become susceptible. They become very susceptible because they basically, again, as women, one, they're social. Two, naturally, they basically want and crave attention. And since they want and crave attention from the people who are they consider to be the most dominant in society, what happens with those black women is that as they're looking out here for love, especially when they've got daddy issues, they're looking for the white society to give them that validation and that approval. And what sadly happens with a lot of those black women is that those black women, basically what happens to them is they basically, again, see their own black man as inferior. And as they see their own black man as inferior, what they do is nothing the black man does will ever satisfy them. An example of this is Jada Pinkett Smith. Will Smith basically, again, bought her houses, gave her lots of things, but she could never see anything good that this man does because she basically sees white as being better, or she sees guys like a Tupac being better. They basically see the white man as everything he has as better. And because they believe that the white man's ice is colder, what happens with these women is that they go out here, and as they're thinking everything that this white man has is better, nothing a black man can do will ever be good in their eyes. And since nothing a black man will do will ever be good in their eyes, sadly, what happens with the black woman is that she basically has this inferiority complex that keeps her from being able to find love with a black man or to get closer to a black man. And that's how a black man, in spite of his best efforts, if he goes out here, buys her diamonds, goes out here, gets her a luxurious home, it'll always be seen as second best. And again, that really hurts as related to black on black love, because the black man wants to give her the very best, but she can't see it as the very best due to her misperceptions of black manhood and black masculinity, because she still sees black manhood and black masculinity through the white supremacist lens, and because she sees black manhood and black masculinity through a white supremacist lens, she can't see the love and care that many black men have. And I've seen this happen with many black women. They can't see the love and care a black man has for them. And many brothers out here, we do care about the sisters, but we want the sisters to love us. And again, but the sad part is, because the sisters don't love themselves, they basically go out here and buy into the misinformation of women like that brainwashed woman I mentioned in the Mr. Chris video, who talks about dirty slide pookies. I mean, that's not all the black men that are out here. No, that's not all the brothers that are out here. No, she can't see those brothers because she's buying into the white media stereotypes about dirty slide guys and with dirty socks and or they go over to the white guy, like in the case of Ashley Janae. She went from the pookie over to the white man, but never went into the middle to work with any of those brothers, never went to the middle to work with any of those brothers. And since she didn't go in the middle, she missed out on those brothers. And that's what happens with many black women, like that woman talking about Mary the nerd. She's settling for a black man because she doesn't love herself. And again, her perceptions basically keep her in a paradigm of failure where she's not with this black man because she loves him. No, she's with him because she's settled for him and is expressing her contempt. That's what she presented in that video, an expression of contempt for that black man, because a woman who loves her man ain't gonna say nothing derogatory like that about, oh, I married the nerd after dealing with dirty slide pookies with dirty socks, and doesn't regard his work. Again, women who love men don't talk about men like that. And I guarantee you that same Henny Penny looking chick would basically, when a white man comes along, would basically, he could be this beta looking, Arvid Engen. If you ever watch the show Head of the Class, nerd looking guy, she'll see him as some sort of hunk, but a black man who has everything together, like a Will Smith, she'll still have contempt for him. And that's where these women basically get it all twisted, like your Leslie Jones, who went out here and said marriage was slavery. Now, Leslie Jones came out here and said marriage was slavery. And as she said marriage was slavery, basically she was only talking about black men, because you got to understand, when it comes down to black women like this, they only talk about marriage being slavery when it's a marriage to a black man. But if it was marriage to one of these bottom shelf beta white guys who never had a job, everything would be perfectly fine. And she would be like talking about how this is her Prince Charming, how she's going on to happily ever after. And as she would be out here, she would be talking about living her dream. That's what she would be talking about out here. She would be sitting up here talking about, oh, how marriage is great if this was a white guy. But the reason why Leslie Jones goes out here and says these feminist indoctrinated statements is because she can't get a black man. She can't have a relationship with a black man. And it's not because of her looks, it's because of her attitude and her overall personality. I talk about that in depth in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. I talk about that in depth in that book because what keeps a lot of Black women single, like I said in the classic blog that came before that book, is the negative attitude that they have, the negative personality that they have. I mean, that's what a woman who says marriage is slavery, she just has a whole negative attitude that basically turns you off, just turns you off as related to things. And that's the thing that turns many men away, just turns them completely away. And Leslie Jones, basically, she's single because, again, her attitude is a turnoff. Her attitude alienates people. It's hard for a man to think about getting close to someone who basically puts up emotional walls, shows they're not emotionally available, shows they're not passionate, shows they're not enthusiastic. It's hard for a Black man to get close to someone who basically, again, is so negative. And a lot of sisters basically don't see how their negativity just turns Black men off. I mean, you're living in a world where white supremacy already puts you as second best. And the thing that no Black man wants to come home to that your great grandmothers understood was another adversary. They already had it hard enough dealing with racism and Jim Crow. So they understood they needed to give their Black man an oasis, a place where he could have some peace. But many of the modern feminist indoctrinated Black women, they basically could not give their husband, any Black man, any peace. And instead of looking to work with the Black man, they look to be an adversary. And as they look to be this adversary, sadly, what happens with those Black women is that many Black men just basically started staying away from them. And as they look to stay away from them, sadly, that's what really drove this wedge between Black men and Black women as related to Black on Black love. And that's where we are right now as related to the state of Black on Black love. I mean, Black men, we want to come out here and stay with many Black women. We want to get close to Black women. We want to go out here and really enjoy having a relationship with Black women. But the sad part is that many Black women basically create a wall that keeps us from getting any closer, keeps us from getting any sort of closer. And it just is, it's really frustrating because you want to have the relationship, but you can't have a relationship with someone who basically their emotions are either tied to something else. Either many Black women's emotions are either tied to the system of white supremacy, or they basically are wired to believe that a white man is better. So, or they're caught up in the whole narrative of the brute known as Pookie. And it's hard to, again, have a relationship with someone whose feelings are invested in something or someone else. Really, it's social constructs like the good man. Their whole mindset is caught up in another person, and that makes it just that much harder. Just makes it just that much harder to be able for a Black man to be able to have that relationship. It just makes it just that much harder. And sadly, that's what happens with Black people. Again, Black men want to share a Black on Black love, but you can't really do that these days. I mean, you can't really, do that these days. And you want to get closer. You want to, and have that relationship like your great grandfather did, but you can't have a relationship with someone who doesn't want to have a relationship with you. That's the hardest part about, dealing with the modern Black woman. She's basically either in love with herself or I wouldn't even say in love with herself because she's filled with self-hatred. She's in love with a fantasy of a white man, or she's in love with a social construct of a good man. She's basically in love with ideas created by Madison Avenue in Hollywood. And as she's in love with these fantasies from Madison Avenue in Hollywood, she sadly can't see the real men in front of her. And as she can't see the real men in front of her, sadly, what happens with that Black woman is basically as Black men try to love this Black woman, sadly, they can't love this black woman. And it's hard to love someone who doesn't love themselves because they can't reciprocate that love. That was a point that I made in this recent Esteem series book that's coming up, Esteem, a New Woman, where Esteem also talks about her relationship with John Haynes. And I show how John Haynes tries to help her as related to understanding the issues as related to modern black women and their issue of being able to love and how they have a hard time being able to love black men because they have those issues. I go in depth on that in Esteem, a New Woman, because as a woman who's a new creature in Christ, basically John wants to give her some guidance on how to be a helpmeet to him after she came out of Lucifer's Legion. He wants to have her be a woman in God's order. And part of that was teaching her how about loving herself. And that's a lesson, sadly, many of our sisters didn't get, like in the case of Ashley Janae. Now, in the case of Ashley Janae, she didn't get that whole situation. And as her mother basically divorced her black father and got involved with this white man, as Jason Black pointed out on his live stream today, he talked about how this woman basically was raised from birth to believe white men were better and to think divesting is better. That's what this woman, Ashley Janae, was conditioned to believe. And as she was conditioned to believe this, she was looking for a white man, not because she loved white men. No, she was looking for a white man because she thought this was the ultimate ideal. And this is the programming that many black women get. This is the programming that many black women get out here as related to the misinformation they get, again, from many of these people who are agents like Oprah Winfrey, agents like your Leslie Jones. And that's what leads to these brainwashed black women, like the one you saw in the video talking about slides with dirty socks, black guys. Again, don't want to talk to them brothers like me who be wearing Chelsea boots and wearing designer jeans and wearing Brooks Brothers shirts. Don't want to talk to those brothers. No, they don't want to even think that we exist. No, don't want to think that there are clean-cut brothers who have their stuff together. And while we may not have the money, we have the mind that is together. And they don't want to talk about those type of guys. So basically, these women basically they wind up getting completely programmed because they don't understand what black on black love is, like their great grandmothers. And that's the saddest part about everything. They really don't understand what black on black love is. And white society doesn't want us to see black on black love. That's why they continue to push anti-black messages. And what's sad is that they've got us pushing a lot of anti-black messages to each other. That's what the gender war on YouTube is really all about. The gender war is them using us to go out here and fire these salvos at each other because, like I said before, war is a business for the white supremacists, and they go out here and make profits from seeing black people out here fighting each other. As long as we're fighting each other in gender wars, they make profits from us because as long as we're divided, they can conquer us and profit out of us. And that's what the YouTube algorithm does. It goes out here and pushes gender war videos to many of our brothers and sisters. And what happens is as you get into that online echo chamber, you start imbibing all of that rhetoric. And as you imbibe that rhetoric, it has an effect on your mental health. It has an effect on your emotional health, and has you sitting there like many folks out here who bought into these narratives like swirlers and divestors. You go out here and buy into these narratives. And as you buy into these narratives, what happens is that you're the one who winds up consumed with a lot of hatred for black men or black women. In both cases, you wind up hating each other. And that fits what the white supremacist wants. The white supremacists, basically, they want to see that whole situation. They want to see that because that makes them secure. As long as we're fighting each other, it's perfectly fine for him. But if we start talking about standing up and being together, they got a problem with that because they feel they can't profit off that. They can't profit when they see a black man and a black woman coming together, no, they can't profit off that. They know that if we're loving each other, we're not validating them and putting them on a pedestal. If we're loving each other, we're not putting the white man and the white woman on a pedestal. And that's the thing that upsets many of these white supremacists. It upsets them. And that's why they, in their media, they don't want you to see black on black love. They don't even want to see you even to see a black man and a black woman like on this John Haynes cover. They don't want you to see a beautiful and or black woman with a handsome black man. Don't want you to see that at all. So when it comes down to many of these white supremacists, they don't want you to see beautiful black women or a black woman as the center at all. No, they don't want you to see books that show you black self-love or show you black pride in their media. And as they go out here and give you this programming, it's all about teaching you to hate yourself and to dislike yourself and to see yourself as failure. And that's why you have to counter program this media, and you have to be careful about what you imbibe, because it'll have you not seeing other black people as intelligent. It'll have you not seeing black women as beautiful. Will have you not seeing black love as something capable. Because one of the things that saddens me is that when I come to YouTube, basically I hear a lot of folks saying, oh, I don't like black on black love, or black on black love doesn't exist, or that was of another time. No, there's lots of black couples out here. But again, YouTube's algorithm doesn't push those black couples because that's not fitting their narrative. And since it doesn't fit their narrative, what happens is that since it doesn't fit their narrative, what happens is that they push that kind of information all the way down. And since they've pushed it all the way down, what happens is that's what happens, and it just destroys black on black love. What's going on, Mr. Chris?
Hey, my apologies, Sean, and everybody out there that all the Sean James followers. Hey, my big time apologies, but I was working on a promo for this, and I wanted to really finish the promo that I put together, because I really want to really put in the folks' minds that this is a problem. It's not really talked about, though.
No,
we talk about it from the aspect of, divester, swirler, black women who pick white men, and we talk about the modern women who are serial daters, foodie calls, that only date men for certain things, but never, not being serious about the men themselves. And I think that because no one's talking about this, no one's talking about the threat of black love, and the lack of black love literally kills the community at its roots.
Yeah.
Case example. Let's say a black woman finds a white man, and let's say that white man is not racist. He's not racist. He's a great guy, pillar of the community, and all of that. How does that affect everything else in that black environment? A lot. Because when it comes to our struggles, when it comes to the things the adversities that we have to deal with, he won't be able to relate, no matter how genuine that white guy is in the community.
It's not his world.
It's not. There you go. It's not his world. So he doesn't have a voice. And if he doesn't have a voice, then that's one less person in the community that could help with trying to solve the problem, to solve the collective problem. And that could be the meaning between life and death. You know the old saying, two heads are better than one, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. If he's not able, if he is not in the struggle, he can't relate. He doesn't know what
And
it is to be
if
black
he doesn't know what the struggle is, he can't lead the woman.
because he doesn't know what it is to be black.
No.
And that could make the difference between life and death. And if that's not addressed, that will have a bad effect. It could be a domino effect going forward to preserving self-preservation and surviving within the black community. Dude, you can't relate. Well, I may not be able to relate, but I can help. Maybe you can help. Anybody can help.
But he don't know the struggle. He don't know what's
going on. Know the struggle. Now,
he can't teach his kids.
Now, exactly. There you go. Now, that also goes for black men who are with white women. You run the risk of a community being compromised, being with someone who doesn't understand the collective struggle. It's the collective struggle while we're here. It's the collective struggle that we talk about. It's the collective struggle that I talk about each and every Friday. Each and every Wednesday and some Fridays. It's the collective struggle that you talk about every day when you're doing a YouTube cast. So
yeah,
these things are very, very relevant. They're very relevant. And so, yeah. So Chris, what are you saying? You're not going to date a white woman. You're not going to marry one. I'll tell you right now. I not in the future. I don't see it, because where I'm at in my life and where I stand on things, I'm unapologetic, and I'm not going to move or compromise them just because of sex. There has to be more than life than just looking out for yourself and being about yourself. Yes, when you make moves, you make a selfish decision to put yourself in the best position possible in life. Like when you work a job and you upward mobility, that's fine. All right. But if you're not in that situation, like I'm retired, I can look at a bigger picture, and I can take the time to look at what's priority in my life and what is not. And, I've been in a 5-year relationship with Majika, and, I don't see myself moving too much from that because for the simple fact, relationships are complicated on its face. Now you bring in or you invite in that interracial component when we live in a hyper racist society. Even with the best intentions, it's like, it's like playing with a toothpick and you accidentally poke out your eyeball with it. I know it's silly, but think about it though.
Yeah.
No. And so, yeah. And another thing too, we're the only ones that talk about this. You go on white podcasts, they don't talk about interracial relations. They don't talk about interracial relationships. They don't talk about interracial marriages. It's always us.
Yeah.
Always us. And
their main focus isn't interracial relationships. They build their relationships to be with each other. Like I was watching China Unvarnished. The Asians, basically, it's either you're with Asians or not, because they call it, when you go outside here with foreigners, they cut those people off. In Asian societies and in other societies, they cut them off. They say, you're not coming to be a part of our group.
And yes, and there's a reason why, because they're trying to maintain community and family continuity. Yeah. We go over there in China and we get involved with a Chinese woman and we live in that Chinese woman's village, we don't know. We, as a black man, we don't know what that village's struggles are.
Yeah.
We don't know. And even if we find out, all the best we could do is just help.
Yeah.
But come up with a solution to cultural problems within ethnicities? Nope. No. Now the men in that community are going to be pissed off at you if you try to, well, I think we should do this. No, they're going to be like, man, who the hell is you?
You're like, no, this is ours. This is our stuff.
Exactly. Oh, I've gotten annoyed with white men that have been with black women, and they try to come up with answers, on how the black community can overcome, institutional racism and discrimination. I don't want to hear their mouth. I don't want to hear them to talk because you're not black. No matter how many.
You don't know what that is.
You don't know what that is. That's why there's a thing called white privilege. Even the most rigorous person, you could be the most Eminem type of white dude. Yo, homie, yo, cuz. You could be John Cena mixed with Eminem, mixed with Machine Gun Kelly. You still will not know the black struggle. You won't.
Nope.
You won't. And I'm not going to listen to you. And before some goofball says, well, that's kind of racist. We can't be racist. We run no institutions. We have no power to collectively. That's the magic word, because people tend to get this really messed up. We cannot collectively, as a race, stop or delay or deny an entire other race from any opportunities on any institutional level, whether it's the military, whether it's education. We don't have that. As a veteran, there are black veterans out there that can't get their retirement benefits because they faced racial discrimination. To this day, there have been black young students that have been denied Harvard and Yale and Princeton because of the mere fact they didn't have the resources, and they clearly didn't have the money, but didn't have any type of cachet that those colleges wanted those black students, unless they can play football, unless they can play basketball. Those are the only exceptions. And the thing about that, when Ed Bloom, when he was going to the Supreme Court, trying to change colleges from using race for admissions. All right. The Asians and the Hispanics, they played themselves. Yep. They played themselves so bad because the blacks, us blacks, were still getting into colleges at the same rates while their numbers shrunk. And they don't understand. They shot themselves in the foot, the face, all of that. Because a lot of the black college students, they're athletes. They're athletes. And one thing an athlete does for a college, it makes that college money. There you go. Make some money. And so when those, and I do mean stone cold idiots that sided with Ed Bloom and they thought that it was us blacks that were taking all the affirmative action, all you did was shoot yourselves. Because here's the thing that they don't get. Ohio State is not going to turn away Jarquavius Smith for Hong Lee. It ain't gonna happen. If Jarquavius Smith is an up-and-coming high school football prospect, and they have to decide between him and Hong Lee, but Hong Lee is a 5.0 GPA valedictorian and has completed every program there was done in high school. They still may not get to Ohio State because of the simple.
He's not making money for him.
There you go. Ding, 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 ding.
He makes no money for them. It's like
bam. So Jaquavius is going to Ohio State, and Hong Lee is going to be serving me Chinese food when I go to their restaurant and put in my order. Or Juanito, who's working at a Mexican restaurant, and they can, I like taco salads, so hook me up with a taco salad. But I mean, so we don't have any type of institutional power. All we are is tools.
Yeah.
The athlete makes make money for the college. They get admitted into that college. It's quid pro quo. So getting back to Black love, though, people of other races cannot relate to our struggles. They can't, because they're not Black. And so when other people try to shame us on Twitter, you gotta love my tweets, by the way, Sean. I know you do. I know you have to chuckle sometimes.
Yeah.
But when some goofball says, "Man, you don't have to say that about that Ashley girl, and she didn't deserve it," it's not the point. Don't expect for a man such as myself, Black man, father in a committed relationship, brother, son, all right? Don't expect me to have any type of protection for said woman like Ashley when her whole reputation was to go on social media and thumb her nose down at Black men because she got a white man. There's too much of that. Then if a Black man says something about it, then, man, you out of pocket.
And she was the one out of pocket from the beginning because
we've got to stop. Exactly. We've got to stop this bullshit that we're the only ones that can't be upset, or we're the ones that can't be outraged when Black men who got it together, such as you and I, can't call out other people's BS and hold them up and force them, brutally force them to be held accountable. The Ashley girl she did not hold herself accountable, and she was extremely irresponsible. And I'll be damned if somebody tell me that, well, man, you don't have to be like that. Yes, I do. Almost every single damn day on social media, there's some Black woman that's thumbing their nose in our faces, talking about, I got me the white man of my dreams. A lot of those white men are garbage anyway. They're not picking
Yeah.
up a Brad Pitt. They're not getting a Rob Lowe. Hell, they're
Brad
not
Pitt
even
wasn't even Brad Pitt.
right. Exactly.
Robert Givens got him out the garbage.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. And then look, and then check this out. Look what happened to Robin Givens, and then look what happened to Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
When her career was ascending, she hooked up with Brad Pitt. Her career went down the toilet, and Brad Pitt doing movies with Angelina Jolie and getting a star on the Hollywood sidewalk and all that crap.
And then
You don't
the
even
other
hear
white
about
guy the other white guy Robin Givens got with was a deadbeat, and he left her with 2 kids.
You can't make this stuff up. Check your
We need to do a
email.
divestment disaster on that.
Yeah. Check your email. I sent the new promo. But yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous, man. No. And then also, let's talk about nephew, Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan was with a white girl, and what happened on social media? The white women lost their minds. Brains were exploding. Crash outs all over the place. He gets with Lori Harvey, falls in love, wants to settle down with her. And what does she say? No. Because she still wanted to be in the streets.
Yep.
Now I'm paraphrasing, but nonetheless, that's exactly what she said and did.
Yep.
Then she ended up thinking that Damson Idris, because he's really an English bloke, she really thought that he was a step up from Michael B. And it turned out wrong. And turned out that she took a L, a big, fat, juicy L. I'm talking about a capital L. She took a major L. So all that fumbled big time. And then let's be real, right? Had he did marry her, you know, our spidey senses still would have been going off like, I don't know about this. Might have to keep an eye on. Because here's the thing. What's her value? What is her value?
None.
None. Her value is being Steve Harvey's stepdaughter. That's it. Being Steve Harvey's stepdaughter. And then let's look at her mother. Her mother was in a scandal, okay, because I'll just say allegedly for craps and giggles. But allegedly, she was involved with a bodyguard. She was messing with the help. You can't make this up. So what about, and I think Steve Harvey is the biggest celebrity simp there is.
He's pathetic.
He's pathetic in every way, but he still has value. He does have value. We can't take that away from him because, you know, he has Family Feud, and then he makes guest appearances, and I think he has a judge show now. I don't know. I don't watch it. I got better things to watch. But he's still bringing home the bacon. While Marjorie, Lori's mother, all she got to do is look pretty and lay on her back. For Steve, not the help, for Steve. And then when these things get called out, right? And, you know, I make my beautiful tweets. Y'all listen, you guys gotta follow me on Twitter because my tweets are absolutely positively fantastic and educational and inspirational. Trust me. See, Sean is even smiling right now because even he loves my tweets. But anyway.
Well, I'm not on X anymore. I'm gone.
Oh, I would never call that thing X. I'll never call that thing X. That thing, because it reminds me of Malcolm X. No, 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 no. There's only one X, and that's Malcolm.
Yeah.
That
I'm no
is
longer there.
Twitter. Oh, okay. But I've got, man, my Instagram is bare. It really is not a whole lot. It's not a whole lot there. But anyway, as I'm going on to say, is that, you know, even a simp like Steve has value. And what does Marjorie do? She goes and she finagles with the help. She cheats on her. She ain't cheat on, she ain't sleep with Eddie Murphy or, you know, a contemporary, someone who's of equal stature to someone like Steve Harvey. Oh, no, no, no. You go and mess with the bodyguard. That is just
Low grade dude.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, when we clap back and be like, well, you know, that's her fault. Sucks to be her. Man, you shouldn't be like that. Yes, we need to be like that. We need to start bringing the hammer down on calling out black bad behavior.
Every other society does it. They don't put up with it.
Right. We're the only ones that will get clapped back. If it ain't from the modern women, it's the hometown simps. Man, you didn't have to say that. Shut up and get off my Twitter. Now. Dummy.
We're the only community with men who are off code. Every other community gets on code. They're like, nah, it's not going like that. You're not bringing that here.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I be watching these videos with these Asian guys. They don't play. They be cooking and roasting these chicks.
And here's the thing. They need to. And guess what? Those guys never clap at us. Because you know why? They're making sure they're doing their part to make their community better. And we should be doing our part to make our community better. Change is not just going to happen if it falls out of the sky. There's got to be more brothers like us to come out here and say, hey, no, you're wrong. You shouldn't do that. Because what you're doing affects everybody in our community. But it's not like that.
Yeah. Because when you got off-code people, it throws the whole thing off.
Right. Now, where does that leave us? Because, hey, guess what, Sean? We can take our ball and go home, can't we? You can take your ball and go home. I can take my ball and go home. But then a situation, that Ashley situation, where the black man at that was supposed to protect us.
That protection only comes with submission. You don't submit, you go on and talk about a white man, then you are left out in the wilderness.
Exactly.
That's how it works in every other community.
Exactly. And how disgusting and degrading and disrespectful to have a GoFundMe in a very same white men that she was chasing and sniffing and licking did not put in a dime in that GoFundMe. How disgusting. Because her parents didn't have enough money to fly her back to the States. That is downright pitiful. That is shameful. You couldn't even go get your daughter, the Ashley's parents.
And her mother pushed her to be with this white man, but you don't have no money of your own. You're supposed to be a big-time social media influencer.
Ashley's mother pushed her to be with these?
Yeah.
To be with these cornstarch gorillas?
Yeah.
Man. But isn't her father black?
Her mother divorced the black man and got with a white guy.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay. Yeah. Let me give you a story. This is a true story. My daughter, when she was alive, we would have those heart-to-heart father-daughter talks. And so, her mother's involved with a goofy looking white guy. I clearly can't stand him. But anyway, I don't have to deal with him. So that's another, I don't have to deal with him. So, I just pity the guy though. But anyway, my daughter asked me, Dad, what if I dated a white guy and married him? Would you have a problem with it? I said, most absolutely, I'd have a problem with it. Well, why, Daddy? Because you set your child up to not know who they are. You set that child up to not know their heritage, to know where they come from. Identity comes from fathers. Fathers give the children identity. Why couldn't he give her an identity? He has a last name and all of that. Okay. Identity and heritage and all of that, lineage, you got to get that from his side of the family. If you've got racist on that side of the family and you had a baby by him,
kids gonna learn racism.
Now you just compromised. You compromised a child before it was even born. And it's already difficult relations in and of itself. Same race, same ethnicity relationships are difficult in and of itself. Now you throw a child in that mix? All because you're in love, right?
Yeah.
Or you just in lust. Or like white women do that, not all, but like white women do also, is they fetish for black men. I'm like, because I never understood that. But why would you be interested in us? With all of the social vitriol, discrimination, and everything that comes with being with us, why would you want that? Why would you want that for yourself? Why would you want that for your offspring? Why would you want that for your legacy? And it just seems like, like, I don't know if this is an American thing, but it seems like people get off on swimming upstream. Just something about swimming upstream that just, I don't know. It is very, very difficult. Very difficult. There was a video. Damn it, I should have sent it to you. You know what? I think I still can send it to you.
I have the one you just sent me, but
right. No, not that one. Not that one. That's the promo. That's the promotion for tonight. What we're talking. But there was a woman talking about, it was a black woman talking about the dangers of interracial relationships that nobody talk about. And she broke it down in such a intrinsic way. I want to try to pull that up once you play the promo. But yeah, I mean, and let's talk about, being in a relationship, let's say a modern, with these modern type of females that expect everything from you, but they don't want to put anything in a relationship. That's equally dangerous and toxic. Think about the cheesecake girl. Could you imagine if that guy ended up marrying her? Could you imagine what type of life he was going to have? It was going to be hell on steroids.
Wish he had never got in it.
Right. Like that's one of those things that, that you have to think about. I don't think, and I'm speaking from experience. Right? I've been married. I have a baby. Well, I used to have a baby's mama. She's, my daughter's no longer here. And it's like, man, I was attracting the very things that women carry that I didn't like. But she was cute though. She was sexy. Yeah, but she had no substance. She wasn't a lady. She didn't carry herself well. And, instead of having the mindset of, oh, well, I'll give her a little time. She just need to be around me and I'll mold her and shape her. We got to get out that. We got to get out that. We need to meet women where they are. And not all black women are like the Ashleys or the Leslie Jones comment and D.L. Hughley's chicken head daughter. What's her name? I forget, Shepherd, something Shepherd. Ryan Shepherd. Yeah, that's her name. And they make these comments and they're very disrespectful towards us. And we're not supposed to say nothing. We're supposed to just take this, Sean.
No, not at all.
We're just supposed to take this. In what universe? And like I said in the last Friday night barbecue, I lost my daughter. I lost my daughter to brain cancer. She did everything right. She finished high school. She finished college. She had a 4-year degree. She married her college sweetheart. They have a beautiful daughter. And yet her life was cut short. And now, and when somebody like an Ashley comes up, healthy, well, all the potential in the world, and you lose your life to a cornstarch, pasty face, racist white boy because he has a lot of money and he's rich, I can't feel sorry for you. Not at all. I cannot.
They chose that.
I cannot.
They want to blame black men for this, but you picked this guy.
You picked this guy, and guess what? It sucks to be you, Ashley. I don't have it. I don't have it. And you can, and I don't give a damn. That man, Mr. Chris is harsh, and you damn right I'm harsh. My daughter was 30 fucking years old, and she did things the right way. And she didn't lose her life because she made a foolish decision. She had a disease and didn't even know until a year after her daughter was born. I hate to say it, but it was an act of God. And you've got women out there that are good looking, lot of potential, can apply themselves to be with a good black man, and they go with these clowns.
Yep.
Or D.L. Hughley's daughter there went, marry the nerd. And she said it in a very disrespectful and condescending way.
Like she thought she was better than these guys. She had no respect for him.
None. But when you play that promo, oh yeah, I put a little bit of seasoning on her ass. But yeah, so who respects us? Who respects us at the end of the day? When are we going to get our flowers, Sean? No. We're supposed to take everybody's bullshit, but then come to those same bullshit people's protection when they get their stuff in a situation. It does not work like that. You don't respect us, you don't deserve our protection. And if you mad about that, then this broadcast is not for you. And then Ryan Shepard, D.L. Hughley's daughter, she not only doubled down what she said, she tripled down what she said. No pity, no remorse. You know, they're like Terminators.
Yeah, that's what they used to say back in the day. Are you old days of Tommy Sotomayor?
Yeah. Tommy Sotomayor got that from me. I had in one of my when I was doing Chris and Company, the first run from 2009 to 2013, my first Chris and Company run, I had an opening where I had Kyle Reese say that the famous line, can't be bargained with, can't be reasoned with. They don't feel pity, remorse, or fear, and they absolutely will not stop ever until you are dead. I implemented that. He was listening to me. I tried to reach out to him, and he was very disrespectful. And then I was just like, "Whoo, yeah, yeah." And I cut that guy off. But well, thank you. But yeah, I started that. He didn't. In fact, you can go back into my old Chris and Company archives back in on Blog Talk Radio, blogtalkradio.com. And I had that line in there. And I was talking about, and I put that in there to talk about dating, to talk about, how relationships were. Because modern women, these divester swirlers, and the Leslie Jones and Ryan Shepards of the world, they are all against black men. They can't be bargained with. They can't be reasoned with. They don't feel pity, remorse, or fear, and they absolutely will not stop ever until we're no longer around. That's a fact. Even Ryan Shepard herself is not. She's with a non-black man and still had the nerve to call him a nerd. You can't make this stuff up.
They want those non-black men, but those non-black men have no respect for them. They're just something that they're playing with.
Well, I think in Ryan's case, I think she got with a guy who's wimpy, low self-esteem.
Classic beta.
Because
that's what they get.
Yeah, because she didn't stop making the videos. She still goes on and on. And then she'll do this. Oh, if you're one of those men that I was talking about, then you're insecure. You're an insecure loser. So if you talk about her, if you talk about her, then you're insecure. If you don't say nothing, or clap back, then you're one of the guys that she's talking about. You can't make this stuff up. It
creates a no-win situation. Classic. That's what classic female nature.
Yeah.
It's called the paradox trap.
Exactly.
Beta males do the same thing.
Yes. They sure do. And when they come across guys like us, we shred them.
Yeah.
Because what you gonna debate?
The only way to deal with them is to call them on their BS and shut them down.
Right. Exactly. Because they got nothing else. Just like I did Ultimate Black Man, just like I did that Steve dude that talks about relationships all the time. That dude, that guy's around our age and he's still talking about relationships. Are you serious? And he does like 6-7 hour YouTube stuff Still talking about the same old shit. Like, Sean, I can't fathom you doing a 7-hour broadcast talking about religion.
I can't. I couldn't do it even when I was healthy. Or just 2 hours is as far as I'm going.
7 hours?
No.
He's literally using the YouTube platform to pick up chicks. That's why he's on there for so long. Do you know how much of a loser you got to be? You're below beta. You're below a beta male.
That's an omega male. That's omega male.
Wow.
I talk about that in the Man Crisis. There's these omega males. They're at the pure bottom. They're at the rock bottom.
Wow.
These are the guys. They have no social skills whatsoever.
Wow. I gotta check that out. You know, because you can't make this stuff up. Now, we'll get ridiculed because we're trying to defend Black love. We're trying to take on the forces that disrespects Black love. But they won't have that same energy. The bad actors won't have that same energy when they're the ones being disrespected, and they need us to protect them. By that time, it's too late. No, it's too late. You should play that promo real quick.
All right, we'll put it up. Okay.
You know, back when I was still having sex with men who wore Adidas slides and dirty white socks, you know the ones. I wish I could tell me then that I'd be married to like a whole ass pediatrician sitting outside in our backyard.
Forehead.
By the fire he built me, drinking an old fashioned, waiting for him to come downstairs to join me because he's putting our kids to bed.
Watch this.
Marry the nerd.
If you think that's disturbing, watch this.
I think marriage is legalized slavery.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Say more, because if I'm thinking about slavery and I'm thinking about marriage, there are two different images that come into my
Absolutely
head.
not.
Why is Black love threatened? Why is it always under attack? It's always disrespected by the same bad actors that don't like Black men. The divester swirler bedwenchers, the white supremacist Ku Klux crackheads, and the United States government itself. White supremacy feminism has caused the most damage only because it was funded by the CIA. The mere fact that the dirty socks with slides Pookie got the free booty calls, this is the same female that has the nerve to expect the nerd to have college degrees and a 6-figure salary. But why do chicks that look like this and this have the most to say that no one truly cares about? It's because it's the ugliest chicks that has the most to say, only to say it because they still crave the most attention. I talked about this subject on the Saturday night special, but I'm going to talk about it again with my friend and colleague, Mr. Sean James. Why? Because his input is equally as important as mine. As a fellow Black man and a fellow Generation Xer, the both of us will be able to give even more context on the reality of the situation when it comes to holding women accountable, especially Black women who we look for to love. Simply put, Black love is under attack, and it could come down to Sean and I stopping the attacks from happening. And somebody has to stop it, and it might as well be Sean James and me. Tonight's episode is going to go into detail on how the United States government has had a direct hand into destroying Black love and how it benefits the system of white supremacy itself in its purest form.
I don't want to hear none of y'all talk about how hard I am and I'm wrong and this and that. If Ashley does not respect black men, she had no value for us. Why would I care? Why would I put any value on her? If she had no value for my life, why would I have any value for her life? That GoFundMe that they put together, they will have to go find me to contribute to it because they can't get a dime of mine.
It is not fair. It is not fair for decent, law-abiding black men, citizens that are constantly asked to defend other black women who constantly disrespect us. It is absolutely unfair and disingenuous when you have women who come out and they talk about being with men that don't live up to their standards, even though their personal standards are subpar. You simply cannot make this stuff up. And because of mainstream media that constantly virtue signal on hating black men, which in turn is hating black love. This is nothing short of a COINTELPRO program that brainwashes black women to hate black men by all and any means necessary. Join me and my tag team partner, Sean James, talking about black love and how that is a direct threat to destroy the black community. Well, that's all in a nutshell. What's that?
I said, that's okay. Okay, that was the video. It's a very good video.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, as you can tell, my skills are getting a little better. but like I said, I stand by that. Now, I don't even agree with Willie D all like that on much of anything. But for, this is one of those broken clock that is right twice a day type of situations. And I could not pass that up and throw that in there. Don't be afraid, men, to call it like it is. Simply put, had Ashley been with a black man that truly cared about her and truly wanted to make a respectable woman out of her, she'd be alive. Don't be afraid to say it. Don't be afraid to tweet it or Facebook it or make a video of it. The days of trying to shush and sequester black masculine men is over. Don't come to us talking about wanting to create a community and unity, and you don't want to be called out on your BS. You don't want to be held accountable for anything. A community can only work when everybody holds themselves accountable. There's no such thing as an unaccountable community. Name one. And I'll show you dysfunction all over the place. Hell, if they're even alive to even talk about it. Because a lot of the dissension, a lot of the problems usually come from within the community. There's a study done, and you know about the study with the FBI.
Yeah.
Where a lot of rapes and I don't know if I can say that word, R words, robberies, and and deletions come from within the same ethnic communities. There's a reason for that. Because we are humans that gravitate to seeing more people who look like us more often. And if we live in communities neighborhoods where, predominantly black, predominantly white, predominantly Hispanic, predominantly Asian, a lot of crime, believe it or not, happens within, what's the word? Inter-ethnic communities. I think that would be a word, right? Inter-ethnic. Yeah. It's true. So at the end of the day, you can't say in one hand, we need to have black communities that should come together and unite. And then in the other hand, well, yeah, I did something wrong, but that doesn't count. Or I did something wrong, but you still should have been there for me. And I value my life more than I value yours. But because you're a man, you're just supposed to stop what you're doing and help me. That's not how none of this works.
Nope.
That's not how any of this works. If you are listening to the sound of my voice and someone tried to shame you because they were wrong and you were trying to critique them, then you triple down, past double down. You triple down and be like, no, you need to be held accountable for this because you're wrong and this affects all of us. Stand on it. No more of these Twitter tweets and Facebook posts talking about, hey man, yeah, it didn't have to, you didn't have to call her out like that. It's wrong for somebody. No. I was right in absolutely every damn way. And Sean calling it out, he's absolutely right about that. She didn't value black men's life. She didn't value black life, meaning she didn't value black love. Therefore, she didn't value the black community. Why should we have saved that broad? From who and from what?
Couldn't save her from herself.
Exactly.
She made these choices.
Then she goes out, runs with this Charlie Brown looking, pasty face looking cornstarch cunt, and gets herself killed, and now has compromised her parents. They've got to stop what they're doing to start a GoFundMe, because between the two of them and the white guy that I guarantee you he's not putting no money into that GoFundMe, got to come together to fly her dead body back to the States. That's a monumental disgrace. A disgrace. My daughter died of natural causes, and she was married and was a family woman, and she dies of natural causes. But here's a chick that was healthy potential, and you squandered it and you blew it because you wanted to chase some fat slob cornstarch crusty Caucasian in Tanzania. No, you deserve what you got. Sucks to be you.
It's a consequence of her choices.
Exactly. Well, and so, yeah. It's gotten to the point, man. It's gotten to the point. I get tired of seeing these stories. And it ain't like I fish for them. You wake up in the morning, you go to Twitter, and bam, there it is. I wouldn't even really be speaking about it had not this story been saturated on my timeline. Like, why is this so important? For who and for what? O'Shea Duke Jackson talking about it. Other relationship celebrity gossip YouTube channels are talking about it. Man, it turned the page. Ashley was a loser. We need to focus on winning. You know how you focus on winning? You surround yourself with people who are winners. She put her own self in that situation. No one else. And here's another thing that I found like hilarious. So I guess this I guess her girlfriends, whatever, Ashley's female friends, right? They're like, and they're just, they're showing TNA in their little TikTok videos as if they're doing something spectacular. I'm just so mad that there's black guys out there that just don't care about her. I'm a black man and I don't care about her dying because she wanted to waste her life.
She's the sum of her own choices.
That's right. It's going to get down to the point. Do you want black love or do you want death? It's just that simple. It's harsh. But I lost my mom, my stepmother, and my daughter. And now I'm losing weight. I'm not worried about losing much else. But there's a lot of other people that do. And if you don't want to lose anything, then you need to start making wiser decisions. And if you can't take tough love, don't expect us to fight for you tough. We're human beings too. And if we're not valued like human beings, then guess what? You can't get mad. You can't get mad if we turn our backs on you. I mean, it's really that simple. It's really that simple. You cannot build with a broken, damaged person. Right.
No.
You can only build with people you want to build to. RIP to them. No, one Phobos, not me. Oh, you're talking about my family members. Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. LOL to losing weight. I didn't see that coming. Well, yeah. Think about that. Think about me. Use me as a prime example, Sean, and everybody listening out there. With everything I'm going through, everything that I've dealt with, the losses in my family, I'm still taking the time to become better physically. Do you know how hard that is? Without me having a moment of breaking down because I'm thinking about my mother, I'm thinking about my daughter. And here these women are throwing away their lives to men that only sees them as objects, putting their families through all types of existential hell because they want to hook up with the guy who has the bag. And here I am trying to be strong for my son, my woman in my life, my brothers and sisters. And what's on my mind? Trying to lose weight. Yeah. Trying to set up a regimen so I can go to the gym and start working out. Because you know why? Because my mother, my stepmother, and my daughter would still want me to be the best person that I can be. And me still living, I'm living for them because it's bigger than me. My son relies on me. My lady relies on me. My brothers and sisters rely on me. And if I have to be the rock in my family, then so be it. But that comes with tough fucking love. And what I won't tolerate is unaccountability. I don't put up with that within my own family. Don't believe me? Ask my oldest brother. Oh, that's right. I haven't spoke to him in over 15 years, and I don't have no intentions of speaking to him no time soon. He's my brother, but he's a very, very bad person. And not only that, I told my family to stay away from him, meaning my son and my daughter when she was alive. Not only you're not gonna have access to me, you're not gonna have access to my family. And there's reasons for that. Because I know people look up to me. People in my family want to, when they get around their friends, they want to say, hey, yeah, Chris is doing great. Living in Arizona, he's doing his broadcasting thing, ... But yet people don't have that type of mindset for themselves, like the Ashleys of the world. Leslie Joneses and that Shay, what's Shepherd, Ryan Shepherd chick. We can't help those people because they can't help themselves. You want to know why they can't help themselves, Sean? Because they don't think they have a problem.
They think they're all right. They're in
Absolutely.
denial.
Absolutely.
They haven't hit rock bottom like an addict.
Exactly. Like an addict. Exactly. And what happened to Ashley? Like an addict, chasing other people's money, thinking that her body, all she had to do was bring her body to the table, nothing of substance. And what happened? She got treated like the damaged product that she was representing. And then here's what's so diabolical about everything. Where are the white people that put money in the GoFundMe? I have yet to see it. I have to see one white person put $1 for that Ashley girl to come home.
They acted like she didn't even matter.
Exactly. And here's the thing. You would think that the so-called man that she was with, that's worth $45 million. That's what I had heard he was worth. Hadn't put a dime in that GoFundMe to get her home. That is monumentally disgraceful. Am I saying that her parents need to be shamed? Oh, yes. Maybe so much not the father, right?
The mother needs to be shamed because she encouraged this.
Right. There you go. The parent that encouraged her to do this, should be the one that's ultimately shamed. Ashley's mother was a bad mother. And here's the thing, too. There are deadbeat moms out there. And deadbeat moms that give bad advice to their children. Bad advice to their children. That's deadbeat material. Through and through.
Yep.
That is deadbeat material. And once again, when my daughter understood what I told her, she married a brother. And he was a good guy. He's a good guy. I need to give him a call, talk to him. And they had a happy life for a little while. And now her daughter does not need to ask where she come from and who she is, because it's all right there. And then she got Grandpa Chris to lean on. If she ever reaches out to me when she gets older. That's what we do. We protect our women who want to be protected, and we make sure that our children know where they come from and know who they are. Now, if you're one of those that want to get lost, or you want to do your own thing and you get lost, just remember, you can go out too far where nobody can get to you, and you can end up like Ashley.
Yep.
Before we go, I sent you another video. Were you able to pull it up real quick?
I'm gonna see what it is. Oh, okay, I got it.
It's a real short one. But she was spot on what she said. And she got it in like less than a minute and a half. No. But yeah. It's ridiculous. Oh, well, why we need to unite and come together. Yes, but unity comes with accountability. You have no accountability, you don't have no unity.
Yep. Without the unity, you have no community. I mean, that's one of the things that's hurt the Black community, is that we're so fragmented and we're not really together.
We're not together because of the government and they
look to divide us by putting programming like the feminist movement and all this other stuff in our heads.
No. It was the feminist movement in our heads. No.
Yeah, I'm saying with the Black woman, she got brainwashed. She believes a lot of foolishness.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Because the CIA was giving money to women like Gloria Steinem to fund the movement.
Yeah.
Because the original feminist movement was called, what was it called?
Suffrages.
Not suffrages. NOW was it? National
Organization for Women.
National Organization of Women. Yeah. And I talked about that on the Saturday night special last Saturday. Right? Like, for instance, here, the matriarch myth, sociological reports like the 1965 Moynihan report blame the perceived weakness of the Black family on domineering women. Some argue that feminist ideals of independence were weaponized by outside critics to further pathologize Black relationships. The United States government funneled money to destroy Black relationships. If that's not diabolical, I don't know what is. Here's another one. Prioritizing race versus gender. Black women often felt forced to choose between supporting the civil rights movement, where they face sexism, and the women's liberation movement, where they face racism. This split loyalty, quote unquote, created tension in personal relationships regarding where energy and resources should be spent. Energy and resources should be spent. Basically stating that if a black woman being in the civil rights movement, every woman that's part of the civil rights movement was being Me Too'd and stuff like that. That's not true.
No.
There were more marriages back then.
We had the most marriages in the country until the feminist movement came in.
From 1960 to 1980, divorces skyrocketed as high as 40% in the black community. That's by design. That is by design. What happened so you had the 60s where you had the feminist movement. And then what happened in the 70s? The sexual revolution. It was over. The feminist movement turned a lot of our black women into whores.
Yeah.
And the CIA knew that, because when the feminist movement started back in the real late 50s, early 60s, they didn't have the numbers to move the needle. There weren't enough single white women. There wasn't enough of them collectively to move the needle. Excuse me?
They were a fringe movement all the way from the 1920s to the 1950s. White women wanted nothing to do with them.
Right. The white women homemakers, the married white women didn't want nothing to do with them.
And even the working white women during World War II wanted nothing to do with them. They were at the bottom of society. They were considered to be losers.
Right. And the only way they was able to recruit black women, they needed the money. They needed money to be able to hold chapters in certain cities and have a building and have a network. Oh, this is really happening. And a black woman would see that, not all, but a black woman would see that, be like, okay, dude, y'all really doing something here. Y'all really, making, and boom, there it is. That's what happened. Hey, don't take my word for it. Do your research.
Yeah.
Well,
and out of that, all that money that came out, the white women got all the money and the black women got crumbs.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
You got crumbs in the welfare state, and you got crumbs working their dead-end jobs.
Right. And now, here, you want to hear something funny? Now they're all suffering because of MAGA.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah.
And the irony is that the same white supremacists who created the feminist movement are the ones tearing it apart.
Well, here's the thing. Remember, leading up to the 2024 election, I said, look out for white women being the deciding factor if Trump becomes president. Guess who those white women were? It was the married white women, the non-feminists, that got Trump in there.
They were the ones who always picked him. They were the ones who picked him in 2016. They were the ones who picked him
Mm-hmm.
in 2020. They were the ones
Mhm.
voting for him in the largest numbers. You wouldn't know
Mhm.
if it wasn't for the white women, the Hispanics, and the Asians.
Exactly. And the 92 percenters, the black women, the 92 percenters, those are mainly the black feminists that voted for Kamala. And they got left out, hung to dry. But they kind of did that to themselves because there was a lot of us black folks that were voting for the couch. We said we were voting for the couch. And I guess the 92 percenters didn't believe us.
Nope.
People
But there
who
was
date
still
outside
enough.
of their race.
Hold on, I got to put that back. All right, continue.
Okay. So, so they were mad at like guys like us who voted for the couch, but still there were still enough black men that voted Democrat.
Yeah.
So they tried to paint the 92 percenters tried to paint a broad brush that it was just black men, but then the black men who voted Democrat was like, whoa, hold on now. Don't blame us because Kamala's not in there. Then they had to pull their messaging back. So yeah, now that 92%, that's about to dwindle because look what's going on now. And some went they're in that 92% window. A lot of those black women are realizing, wait a minute, if we don't vote for either Republican or Democrat, then they'll come to us. They need to come to us and reach out to us. That's why I said, just hold your position, black folks, black voters, hold your position. Let them come to us. Think about it.
That way, it's on your terms, not theirs.
Exactly. And that's how you should approach dating. Now, if you happen to have a conversation with a woman, right? You can have a conversation, but you don't have to pursue.
No.
Sit back and talk to her, see if she's interested in you. Ask questions, and if she says, "Hey, let's exchange phone numbers and let's talk some more over the phone," and then especially if she's the one that reached out to you, acquiesce. That's how it should be done, and then you interact that way. But you can't always, chasing. No way, man.
Chasing is a guy coming from a position of weakness.
And that's
to deal with those who want to deal with you.
Exactly. And the Democrats didn't have to deal with us because we kept chasing them.
To the weak position, not the strong one.
Exactly. Barack Obama should have woke up every black person's eyeballs throughout the United States of America. He did nothing for us. Why? Because he took our votes for granted. Yeah. He didn't have to work for them. That shit will never happen again. So understand, every brother that can hear the sound of my voice on this broadcast, you have value. Know your worth. Stand your ground. You want to be a man? That's what being a man is all about. Play this clip because what she got to say is spot on.
All right.
Black people who date outside of their race lack pattern recognition. And I'm going to tell you why. Because how many times do you have to see the same outcome, the same disrespect, same cultural disconnect before you realize this ain't just bad luck? There's a pattern, and there has always been a pattern between white folks and black folks. A pattern of violence, a pattern of injustice, a pattern of oppression. And instead of y'all recognizing this pattern, y'all just chalk it up as, oh, I just need to explain myself a little more. At what point do you notice you're the only one adjusting? You're the only one educating. Y'all shrink yourselves. Y'all over-explain, over-defend to be accepted. And then we see when they get mad, their true colors come out. Now they calling you all type of racial slurs, unaliving a lot of y'all. And people gonna say, well, there's domestic violence with black and black relationships too. Your chances of your spouse abusing you, unaliving you, or any of that is higher when you're with someone of an opposite race. Y'all can call it preference, y'all can call it love all you want. But what I'm seeing is people walking into situations where they're always compromising who they are. Black people who
I'm sorry.
Mic drop.
So, yep, she has it right. She's on point.
Mic drop.
Yep.
Shit. On that note, I land my plane, my brother. Shoot.
Yeah.
Right on out to the sunset. I'm getting ready to barbecue tomorrow. Gonna watch WrestleMania. I already got the weekend set up. My sweetie poo, ready for WrestleMania, Majikas? Damn right. We ready for WrestleMania next 2 days. And I'm gonna fire up that grill. Shoot. And everybody, if it's not wrestling, hey, take your mind off. Do have an activity, whether it's reading a book, playing a video game, watching wrestling. Do something to take your mind off the social media foolishness.
Yeah.
And stay off social media. Go 8 hours. Go 8 hours without logging in. Everybody else run. Give yourself some R&R. Listen, I'm a black empowerment soldier. Goddamn right I am. Now it's time for some R&R, Sean. And I'm giving you a direct order. You take some R&R for yourself too.
Yeah.
Go on and watch WrestleMania tomorrow and sit back and relax, have some snacks, and let's see what happens over these next 2 days.
Yeah.
That's a direct order. I'm giving it to you right now. Get
All
some
right.
R&R, some rest and relaxation, man.
All right, I'll do that. All my videos are filmed anyway for the whole week, so.
Well, I'm landing my plane, man. Tonight was good. Like I said, I apologize. I came in late, but I had to get that promo. I had to put that promo together and get it out.
It's a solid promo. You did. You did. I was able to hold the show for the first hour, so. I know how to work. I know how to work on an improv, so that's one of the things. That's one of my skills.
Oh yeah,
working lives is that you have to really be in the moment, and you have to. If something's not working, you gotta make it work.
You gotta keep going, baby.
Yeah,
you gotta keep going. Exactly. I have those issues here. Doing Chris and Company every Wednesday. So I mean, now as of late, things have gotten better, technically wise. It's still, I expect the unexpected though. Just like you just said, you expect the unexpected, and you pivot at a moment's notice. That's what we broadcasters do, man.
That's all. When you're working live, that's how it works. Sometimes stuff isn't going to work right, but you got to keep the show going.
That's right.
Even when I was doing presentations, when I was working at AmeriCorps Vista, outreach guy couldn't come that day, and I had to go all the way to the church and make the presentation by myself.
Yeah, well,
I had to work on the fly.
Had to work on the fly.
Yeah,
and so it happens, right? And
yeah,
you just you get ready for it. You expect the unexpected, and you keep moving. You keep moving. You're gonna see a lot of that over the next 2 days at WrestleMania. I'm just giving you a heads up right now. You're gonna see some blotches. You're gonna see some botches, some unusual bumps and stuff like that. You're gonna see some guys like Michael Cole does this. Sometimes Michael Cole will mispronounce a wrestler's name or say the wrong name. And so you're gonna see a lot of that over the next 2 days. But hey, it's all good.
Yeah, it's
I'm
all
still
part of
gonna.
the business, and you got to work with what you got.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All part of the
Absolutely.
business. When
Yeah.
when you're dealing with the public, you're going to be dealing with situations where you're going to have to work with what's there.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so hey, Jade Cargill's wrestling on Sunday. I'm pulling for her. I think her and that Rhea Ripley match is going to be really good. Yeah.
Should be good.
It should be really good. I want to see CM Punk get knocked on his ass. I want to see Roman take it. I look for the Orton versus Rhodes match to be I expect that to be a mess. I think that's going to be an absolute mess.
It could have been a classic, but the booking is off.
Yeah. And if the booking's off, usually the match is going to be off too.
Yeah.
So,
because the talent is there, but the whole thing is that the way they book the whole match is what makes it a mess.
Yeah.
They rushed the feud. I would have built slowly into 2009 Orton and then had it build into something, but they just didn't build it.
They had the chance. Here's the thing: they had the chance to do that in Triple H for whatever reason. He didn't pull the trigger to start that feud sooner. That's a head scratcher. I don't know if
he thought he could go on and just do this feud real quick, but you the guy like Orton, you need build up.
Yeah, you need build up. He's still a full timer. He's not a part timer. So you got him on a full time basis. They could have slow boiled the story, right? They could have started. Yeah. They could have started as far back as say Survivor Series, and then just little nuggets. They didn't do that. Now all of a sudden, after Royal Rumble, I think I'm just going to pummel the crap out of Cody. Oh,
it didn't come. It wasn't organic.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't organic. So I expect it to be a mess. I don't have high expectation. I don't think
it's saying Orton might be hurt, so I expect a disaster.
Man, yeah, I'm looking forward to Trick Williams. Oh man,
that's got good build on that one.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to that. Him and Sami Zayn. Everybody's been crowing about Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi. Man, I think it's going to be a squash. I think Oba's going to come in there. He's going to do. Oba's going to come in there. Brock Lesnar is going to do his thing, going to suplex city him, then put him in an F5. Oba's going to kick out of that F5 and just yes.
Yeah, because they have to put him over to make him a star.
Right. So how you do that? You squash Brock. So then that way he doesn't look weak.
Yeah.
So you kind of do him like the Ultimate Warrior did Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah.
All right. And you make it real quick. Boom. Everybody's in it. Boom. 1, 2, 3. Oba wins. Everybody goes crazy. Everybody's like
strong opener.
Strong. I would put that the first match of night 2. I'd make that the first night. I'd make that the first match of night 2, because then they can set the tone for the rest of the matches going forward.
Yeah.
I used to be in a wrestling promotion. I know how that stuff goes. So usually the best wrestler, either the best wrestler or the second best wrestler, is the one that opens up the first match.
They get the crowd hot.
Right.
They get the crowd hot.
Then that puts a fire in the other wrestlers behind, and their match like, damn, we got to top that. Damn, we got to do, and that sets the tone. That sets the tone for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it, man. Like I said, tomorrow, Tomorrow I'm gonna fire up the smoker in the backyard. I'm gonna put some steaks on the grill, and I think Sweetie Pooh got some shrimp or some lobster tails or something. And yeah, and by the time WrestleMania starts, I should be finished grilling, and I'm gonna be eating. So yeah, and
Sounds like a good plan.
sounds like a great plan. And
Yeah.
because Leslie Jones still gonna be ugly. Ryan Shepherd is still gonna be with her so-called nerd, even though she looks like a Looney Tunes cartoon character. And as
To
far as
hang
Ash,
with that forehead.
oh my, did you like that, by the way? The
And
comparison.
I found it to be really funny because she looked like the Henny Penny from what is that Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yes.
That giant forehead.
Oh man, yes. Oh, that's
She
right.
looked
The
like
sun. You know what? I should have used that one. She looked more like the sun, Widowhand's son than Widowhand. But
She's
maybe
talking about Mary the nerd when she's a nerd herself.
you can't make this stuff up, man. You can't make this stuff up. Well, they won't be on my mind tomorrow. I could taste that steak right now. I could taste that smoked steak that I'm going to have on the grill, and I got the smoker going. So, Sean, man, it was raw. It was real. I'm gonna land my plane, and I just want to put in a quick promo. Check me out on the Chris and Company radio show on www.niceradionetwork.com, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Pacific, each and every Wednesday on the website. I'm still working on my YouTube channel. It's a real slow build, for obvious reasons. And, I need your support. We can't, like Professor Black Truth says, Black empowerment, the media, Black empowerment media starts with you. And that's true. Computer robots, L Spark of Infinity, One Phobos, Cupcake Sweetie, D Wood. You guys are part of the Black media, and we can't be the Black media without you guys. So I want to give you guys your flowers. And I'm going to leave a link of the website in the chat.
All right. Awesome. All right. Well, with all that said, we're just going to wrap up tonight's show. But before we wrap up tonight's show, again, I want everybody to, pick up a copy of ISIS Runway of Doom, the latest book in the ISIS series, and the second book in the SJS Direct 2026 catalog, along with the first book, John Haynes, An Offer He Can't Refuse. And head over to lulu.com and pick up John Haynes at Death's Door. If you guys, again, help pick up these books, it helps me to stay on the air and helps me to continue doing great live streams like with guys like Mr. Chris from Chris and Company. So with all that said, I'm going to wrap up tonight's show and wrap up tonight's stream, and I hope you'll be there for next week's stream. Everybody have a good evening, and everybody have a good night. Okay.